Guys, how we doing? How are we? New subscribers, for starters, thank you so much. We're slowly growing, man. I hope it just grows and explodes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you. Whoever subscribed, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're just trying to bring everything out, any kind of content, just all kinds of entertaining content, and there's going to be some interesting ones as well. So hopefully after this one, we're going to have podcasts with other people on it, so it's going to be a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
Richie, what's happening?
Bros.
How's the Wolfpack going?
Good.
Bro, look, I've been looking at scary stories, like horror stories, apparently that are true.
Yeah.
So there's 60 true horror scary stories to tell in the dark. What do you reckon? Be alright? Have you ever had that? Do you believe in these horror stuff? Do you believe in there's like a ghost or demons or something like that?
Yeah,
like
I think there's something out there.
That's, like the unseen. Do you believe in anything like that, like ghosts or anything?
Yeah. I believe that there's obviously what we believe in.
Yeah, but apart from that, have you had any personal experiences?
Nah.
Never?
I've been a chicken shit and
Are you one of the people that just put the...
in the dark? But other than that, I haven't got any experiences.
Alright, so we'll do 4 parts. There's 60 stories, guys, so we're going to do 4 parts because we're trying to keep it short as well. We don't want to keep it too long. It's going to be boring. You're going to tell the video, get over it. We need subscribers. We need likes. We need comments. We need it all. Guys, keep subscribing. Thank you. If you do subscribe, support the channel. We can get more content out.
Yeah.
And we can put it back into the channel, and hopefully you guys can be entertained.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get more people on as well. We might get like a person that's encountered like a ghost hunter or something. What do you reckon? We'll find someone in Australia, I don't know. Okay, guys, we're going to start 60 true scare stories. Okay, we're going to start with number 1. I'll start. Okay, let's see what it is. Number 1, making toast. Making toast late one night, facing the kitchen bench, eating for a good 5-10 minutes. Cleaned up and turned around, and every single cupboard door and cutlery drawer were open. They were all closed when I went into the kitchen, and there was no way anyone could have snuck in and done it because I was home alone. I also didn't hear them open in the time I was there. Scared the shit out of me, so I froze. Let it register for a few seconds, then calmly closed everything and went back to my room to hide until daylight. One of a few weird things to happen growing up. Bro, what'd you do?
Like I said, man, I was a bit scared of the dark when I was young. So to walk into a kitchen and all of that stuff that's happening.
Bro, if I go downstairs and I see everything open, I'm running and burning the house down. Screw this, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%. All right, this one's a bit of a long one. Number 2, pig mask. Our old house was on a corner and in of a backyard had a side yard. Doesn't make sense. With a small deck that wrapped around the back. The dining room had patio doors that led out to the back, and we would have barbecues and such back there. When I was about 14, we only had one desktop computer and one laptop for the family. My brother and I would fight over the desktop, so I would use the laptop to write music. On one particular night, my brother had a friend over and they were downstairs doing whatever, and I was at the dining room table on the laptop. As I was wrapped up in my writing, I didn't pay much attention to my surroundings. I heard a knock on the door, which startled me. I looked up, expecting my brother or his friend. Standing at the door and waving was a person wearing a Halloween pig mask. Thinking it was my brother or his friend, I mouthed "good one" and gave the person the finger, and they walked away. As soon as I left, I went downstairs to give them shit, and to my surprise and dismay, they were both sitting on the couch playing PlayStation. They swore up and down it wasn't either of them, and there was no way one of them would have had time to get downstairs and unmask before getting on the couch. To this day, I have no idea who it was that knocked and waved. Bro, that's something out of a movie. That would be pretty freaky. Maybe like a pig mask? Because imagine, especially if he's holding a knife or something.
Yeah, and he's waving it. And you see it.
And if you're a kid, you shit.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3. Last day on Earth. I worked from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. at a gas station in one of the nicer cities around here, and I had a gentleman look me in the eyes and ask if I'm enjoying my last day on earth. Walked away before I could answer. Fuck. Don't you think that's like the Grim Reaper or something?
Yeah, bro.
I ran him over. Okay.
Oh.
Number 4. I'm still here. I came home pretty late one night and my roommate's bedroom was shut and I assumed she was sleeping already, but I saw something out of the corner of my eye in the kitchen. I said her name, but she didn't answer. I didn't think anything of it, so I walked into my room and before I turned the light on, something whispered, "I'm still here." I turned on the light in my room, but nothing was there, so I turned on every light in my house and knocked on my roommate's door and eventually opened it, but she wasn't there, so I left her light on too and slept with all the lights on. When she came back the next morning, I asked her if she was messing with me and she started crying and said she left because something was in the house messing with her and she had to get out. Bro.
That's a...
And these are apparently true stories.
Yeah.
Imagine that, bro. What would you do? I would have shat my pants.
Yeah, that was what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%.
Shit my pants.
There would have been a big, the poo emoji in my pants.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
man.
crazy, man.
We're at number 5 now, yeah? Number 5, raising a serial killer. Wow. Okay, so
What the hell?
me, my wife, and my 3-year-old son are sitting in the food court at Costco. There is another family with a 4-5-year-old girl sitting behind us. My son looks at me and says, "Do you see that girl over there? I'm going to teach her a lesson." So I'm taken aback for a second. Then I think he must intend to teach her numbers or something, or some other normal thing you teach people. So I ask, what is he going to teach her? His response, "I'm going to teach her to drown." Fuck. Is that the kid saying that?
That's the kid.
The son. Oh, wow. I would have disciplined him. Okay. We're at number 6 now. Number 6, they knew. A family friend of mine used to work in private wealth management. One of her jobs was diversification of her clients' assets on the stock market. Out of nowhere, she gets a call from a representative of one of her very big private clients to sell all the stocks of a big airline and move the liquidity somewhere else. No buts, and if they needed, they could sell in up to 5% below market as long as the shares are sold quickly. This was extremely weird as the stock price of the company was pretty stable, and specifically this client's portfolio was heavily hedged with this stake, but she didn't think much of it. Oftentimes the clients did this for personal reasons such as having a bad experience on a plane of the company or whatever. 2 days later, one of her colleagues that she shared this peculiar story told her how the airline stock price started slowly but surely falling. Some people were selling off their shares too, which were gladly bought by the market at increasing prices. The next day, AA Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York. The stock market was closed for another week. Bro, it's like they knew what was going to happen. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, man.
Wow. Apparently it's a true story as well, man. Isn't that crazy?
But didn't that happen, man?
Exactly. We don't know what to believe, man.
Yeah.
Number 7. Number 7. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
I went camping by myself in, where's that? Maine? Maine. One night I woke up at like 3 a.m. Not being able to fall asleep, I just laid there listening to the woods. Then I heard a faint hello. I was petrified. I felt so vulnerable in the tent. I never figured out what it was. Wow, must have been us. Hello. All right, number 8. Would you like to come live in my basement? Sounds pretty crazy. When I was 17 and worked in retail as a cashier, I had a very old couple come through my line buying a wok. The husband who was at least 85 started making conversation with me about the wok and asked if I like Chinese food. He said, "Yeah, I like Chinese food. Do you want to go out with me to get some Chinese?" He winks at me. No, sir. Oh, well, he looks a bit disappointed and then turns to look at his wife who is on the phone with someone. "Would you at least like to come home with me and live in my basement?" That's what he asked him. No. The rest of the transaction took place in terrified silence. His wife never said a word. I wonder to this day if he was trying to joke because he sounded so sincere, or if he was suffering from dementia or something else that make him not realize how creepy that sounds to someone young enough to be your great-grandchild. Wow, that's pretty crazy, man.
So, those basements, they're pretty scary.
Yeah, well, look, if you're like, could you imagine if you're like 17, some old bloke comes and goes, would you like to live in my basement? What are you gonna do?
Yeah. You're gonna think.
I know what I'll do. I'll punch him in the face and get fired. Look at this. Anyway. I forgot what number we're at, guys. Hold on one sec. Hold on, we're at 1, 2,
It was
3,
8.
yeah, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7. Number 8, guys, number 8. Followed. The summer after I graduated from high school, I left work early and went up to my parents' cabin in northern Michigan. Spent that night at the beach watching the sunset. Once the sun went down and it became nearly pitch black, I got to my car and started driving down the highway. After about 10 seconds of being at speed, there was an older Tahoe, I think it's like a car in America. Yeah. So let's just say there was an older car that started riding up my ass and flashing its high beams. So I got up to about 60 in a 45. They were still on my ass. I pulled off to the side road that my parents' cabin is off, and they took the same turn. I thought this seemed weird because there's only about 30, 40 houses on the road. So I went all the way to the end, which is usually a dead end, but leads to a maintenance area for the golf course nearby. Truck was still following me. At this point, I was freaking out because if I pulled into the house, they'd know where we lived, and they were still following close by. I took a ton of random turns and the truck kept following every single turn for about 15 minutes. I finally had a chance to make a turn with traffic going through the intersection that gave me a few seconds off a head start. Pulled down a side street, went up 100 yards, turned off all of my lights and waited. Truck slowly drove by the perpendicular street and kept going. Booked it home, pulled my car around the side away from the main road and pulled every curtain for an 18-year-old. I was scared as hell that night. Oh, bro, that would be crazy, man.
Do you reckon Optimus Prime was chasing?
But
that would have been scary, bro.
Yeah, bro, that would have been very, 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 very scary. Wow, man. Number 9, bark. This actually happened fairly recently. I was home alone one day with my dog and 2 of my friends' dogs. Out of nowhere, they all start barking and looking up towards our loft. As they're quietening down, I hear someone in a mocking, calm tone say, bark. They start going crazy again. I decided it's time for a long evening walk. So that's pretty freaky, man. Wow.
So she heard that?
Yeah. Here we go. Number 10, the evil twin. New Year's Day, 1995, I was in the middle of third year university and a bunch of friends had come down to visit me and my roommate for the festival. We were all pretty hungover from drinking the night before and went out for the usual nice day out. A bit chilly, I don't feel so good, post-greasy breakfast, hungover stroll around the neighborhood. You ever been in those situations?
Yeah.
2 of these friends were twin brothers. One of them we hung out with all the time. The other we just met for the first time. He was pretty normal the night before during the fun, but on this day we were all hanging around a local basketball court shooting hoops with an old basketball we'd found in the grass. And this twin brother kept following me around all over the place with the creepiest grin I'd ever seen in my life, staring right into the nether regions of my soul the whole time. I'd back away and join the group again and he'd keep following me around. When we were walking back to the apartment, it was just me and him walking down the sidewalk behind the group, and he moved over in front of me, stared at me with the creepy look again and fell down to his knees as if to worship me or something. I didn't know what to do. Hey buddy, you alright? We're heading back now. And so on. He wouldn't say anything. He'd just be there on his knees looking up at me with a clenched face and squinted eyes as if he were looking directly into the sun or something. Maybe he's just trying to be sexy.
Yeah, I know.
Later that day, my roomie said he was tripping balls, so I thought nothing of it and moved on with my life. A few weeks later, we got a phone call from the twin brother we usually hung out with, and it turned out that his other twin brother went over to his aunt's place with a knife and stabbed her 14 times.
Wow.
She didn't die, but still pretty bad. He had even called the police before going because he knew he was going to do it, but he couldn't stop himself from doing it because, the voices and so on. Far out, man. The ensuing court case was widely covered in the media as this was a relatively smaller community where this sort of thing doesn't happen on a regular basis. I was reading one of the articles and one of the testimonies was that This twin brother was severely schizophrenic and was hearing voices in his head. He believed to his very bones that his aunt was a devil and that he had been commanded by God to go kill her. So who was this God that told him to go kill her? Well, as the newspaper article described, it was a guy in a group he hung out with on New Year's Day. Didn't take me long to realize that he was talking about me. This was 22 years ago. I know for a fact it was a mental illness, but just knowing that I had somehow commanded him to go kill his aunt stays with me to this day. What the? That's pretty crazy, man.
That's crazy, man.
Wow. That was number 10, eh?
Yeah.
Number 11. Always look under the bed. Bro, it just sounds freaky, eh? My great aunt lived way out in the boonies by an old southern prison. This was before most people had TVs, so she had been listening to the radio and found out that a violent rapist had escaped from the prison nearby. She walked into her bedroom and had one of those old saggy mattresses and felt something under the bed. She said something didn't feel right, and she slowly got off the bed and called the police. When they arrived, they found the rapist under her bed holding a knife from her kitchen. He told them he had been waiting for her to go to sleep so he could rape her and then stab her to death. Wow, that is nuts. Get over it, man. This one.
Which one?
Don't about it, man. Hold on. Wow. That's crazy.
You don't.
Number 12. I was almost a hostage. I was walking down the street when I saw a rusty nail in the road. I picked it up and threw it into an empty house yard. Not helpful, I know. After I threw the nail, a man came out of what I thought was an empty house and shouted at me. I freaked out thinking it was about the nail and kept walking towards my house. The guy didn't sound mad, but I couldn't make out what he was saying. He started following me to the street and gesturing me to come over, but my gut told me to keep on walking. I get home and see from my house the empty house is now surrounded by cops. At this point, I still think it's about the nail. After a while, it gets worse and men in full gear show up. I found out later that the house was indeed empty. The men inside were known criminals and I very much almost ended up a hostage. Wow, that's crazy, bro. That is nuts. That's pretty crazy, bro.
What was it, rusty nail?
Yeah, like just a nail, but like they were trying to set that person up so he could be a hostage. Number 13, we found a leg. While cutting lawns along this bike trail, me and a co-worker found a mostly decayed, severed from the knee down leg. Cops were called, they questioned us, and we never found out any more about what happened. But that's pretty freaky.
What would you do if you saw that?
I don't know. Back scratcher. I don't know. Number 13.
Play cricket or something.
Yeah. Number 13. 2 a.m. Years ago, early 90s, my boyfriend was driving me home and we saw a man lying on the ground in the strangest position, kneeling with his head on the ground and bent at a sharp angle so that he faced the street. It was 2 a.m. and the man was covered in sweat with his eyes open. We pulled over and I hopped out of the car to check out this guy. His eyes were wide open and he seemed like his face wasn't moving, but it really felt like he was pleading for help. He didn't respond at all when called out to him. No blinking, glassy eyes. I reached out to touch him and he was ice cold. I'm sure he wasn't breathing. This was before cell phones, so I hopped back in the car and we sped back to my house to call 911. 10 minutes later, the police called back to ask for the cross street again. Apparently they arrived at the corner and there was nothing there. I verified that they had the right spot and they said that they would call back if they needed any more information. That was the last I ever heard about it. I checked the newspaper for the next few weeks, but we never found out anything else about the man. That's pretty freaky, bro. Imagine it's just like nothing there. It would have been crazy. Number 14.
I can't believe this is happening.
It is, bro. It's crazy. Number 14. He's biting daddy. Oh. Is that a horror movie?
Yeah.
Or is that one of the other movies?
Blue movie?
He's biting daddy. 14 yet. My 3-year-old, who is normally very happy-go-lucky, was extremely concerned the other day. He kept looking around the room talking about the rhino. Who knows what a 3-year-old might translate as a rhino. This went on for about 20 minutes. He was very concerned and looking around the entire time. So we get to a point where he says the rhino is moving. My wife asks where the rhino is. He's coming to daddy. Yeah, I'm daddy, and my ass puked just a wee bit at that Comment. Fast forward about 4 days and he starts talking about the ghost. My daughter asks my son, where is the ghost? My son says, he's biting daddy. What the actual...
Oh, sorry.
Wow, man, that's crazy. That's scary when you
Yeah.
We'll talk about this after. What's this? Number 15. Get over it, man. I don't want. What's this? Number 15. Here we go. Number 15. Haunted supermarket. I work in a supermarket early shift and part of my job is changing the shelf labels for the price changes each day. Just this Wednesday gone, I was putting new labels on a shelf of hand soap when about 2 foot along the shelf from me, a bottle shot off and landed in the middle of the aisle. I looked along the aisle at my colleague and she just shrugs her shoulders and says, happens all the time. I've never directly witnessed anything else, what's this, but being one of the first on the shop floor each day. I'm now questioning all the time, all the items that I see sitting in the aisle first thing and guessing I can't blame untidy customers for them all. Wow. Probably a ghost. Who knows? That's crazy, eh? Number 16, weird guy. My year in college, I ran into this guy that was a year younger than me. Let's call him Mitch. Mitch and I were acquaintances that ran in the same circles. He was a nice guy, smart and quiet. At parties, he would fold these really cool 3D shapes in the corner instead of interacting. He would always just watch everybody. Anyways, I ran into him at a bus stop and stopped to say hello. We had an awkward chat about our majors and I asked if he had any contact with mutual friends that went into the army. He said yes and I said, great, could you pass him my number? He opened his wallet and pulled out a piece of paper. The only thing in there, it had my name, university address and phone number. Oh, that's so weird. That was 16, eh?
Yeah. Are we doing 15?
That was 15, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, what are you doing, bro?
You said 16.
Bro, why are you chatting to people on the podcast,
No.
Look, he's going through his thing.
I was just going like that. But you said 16.
Was that 16?
Yeah.
So this is 17. Richie, you got to help me with the numbers. I get confused. Number 17, murder basement. I work as a cable tech. I once went into a basement that I still have nightmares about. There was a single pull string type light in the center of the room, so I couldn't really see much until I turned it on. But the walls down the stairway were covered in old newspaper. I am used to dark basements, so going to turn on the light, I was not prepared for what I saw. All the walls were covered in newspaper. Every one of them was a headline about a tragedy or a murder. There was a black and white framed picture on the wall, and below it was a large child-sized porcelain doll propped up in a rocking chair with a super old-looking cradle beside it. I stayed and did my job, but I still can't shake that feeling of something when I think about it. Bro, wow. That's like or something, eh? Imagine that. What would you do? I'd burn the doll.
Yeah. Far out.
That was 17, eh?
Yeah. 17.
All right. Number 18. The Matrix. Every few months in a department with over 20 women would all come in nearly identical outfits. It was odd. We were all ages and races and styles, but there'd be a day when everyone would show up in a black skirt and red blouse. A few months later, everyone in brown slacks and a cream-colored dress shirt. A few months later, grey skirt and black sweater. We could never figure out the trigger. TV show character looking fly in that outfit, maybe something like that. Always creeped me out as it seemed to represent some sort of group think or collective consciousness working on us. It's crazy, eh? Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. There we go. Number 19. Please don't do this at home. This is This is a story from my mother. She was home alone for a while and was expecting a friend over and was taking a shower. In case her friend came while she was still showering, she left a note on the front door that said, "I'm in the shower, come on in." While she was showering, she heard a knock on the bathroom door and she said, "I'll be right out." When she got out of the shower, nobody was there, and a few minutes later, her friend pulled into the driveway.
That gave me the creeps.
Could you imagine, like now, she does that, pulls in, goes back in the toilet, and then you know how the toilet's all steamy?
Yeah.
Now picture this. She sees, she wipes the mirror, and then the water, because you know the water drips down once you wipe it, but it's coming down like blood.
Oh.
That's pretty crazy. If that happened, but it didn't happen. Number 20. Intruder. I converted an old Android phone into a IP security cam that starts recording and send me an email on motion. Set it up before going out of town. One night I got a motion detected email at 3 a.m. In the morning I went through the video recording, somehow got jammed and it shows a single frame of a weird silhouette standing in front of the door with the door open. I left it closed and it was closed when I got back home. Wow, bro, that is nuts.
That's nuts, man.
You know, I do believe in stuff like this. I remember when I was a kid, bro. I don't know if it's just me being a kid, but I do have stories that freak me out, man. Like I used to have real bad nightmares.
I used to like not like real things, but like I used to be scared of like, you know, move, and then I'll make it a reality in my own head.
That's true. They do say that you can make a reality as well. But bro, I'll tell you what. I remember once, and I can always remember this. Like I was probably about 6, 7 years old. No bullshit. This is a true story. I remember I woke up because you know sometimes like as a kid you wake up like just all of a sudden 12 o'clock or something. But I remember we had this dodgy ass corridor, like, you know, like growing up poor and that.
Yeah.
And bro, I seen a shadow. I promise you. You know when you see a shadow and you see it walking, bro, I promise you. But I seen the shadow, but you know how you can see the shadow like someone's walking, right? Like you can see the shadow moving like someone's walking. But this shadow just went like past.
Oh.
Bro, I shit my pants, couldn't say anything. I've got heaps of stories like that as well. Maybe I've lost my mind. I don't know. Guys, that's it for now. Till the next part. That's going to be part 1. We've got 3 more parts to do.
Yeah.
We'll go, guys. We just depend. We're trying to get the stories that are shorter as possible because we don't want to read too much because then it gets boring, you know what I mean? Anyway, guys, we're out. Wolfpack out.
Oh. Is that not good for you anymore?
That honestly sounds like someone like under the bed. That's why they cover their feet. Someone like you might come and go, oh.